Hi, welcome to another episode of Firm Foundations Podcast with your hosts CJ and Tony. Last episode we finished up chapter 22 in Genesis, the binding of Isaac, and it was so rich. Just how it connects to other parts of the Bible and the redemptive process that God put in motion, and Christ's ministry. It was just so full. It took us 2 episodes to get through, especially the first 5 verses were so jam-packed. Oh God, unboxing that was amazing. But now, today, we're going to look at chapter 23, and it is concerning with the death of the matriarch Sarah. And, it's going to be a easier, fun episode, maybe, in the sense that dealing with death is not necessarily that much fun, but how the survivors deal with the planning of a burial and social norms in that day and in the Middle East even today, and how certain things are negotiated. It's going to be interesting, at least to me, because I'm a nerd and I know that. But it's also going to give us another in-text proof as to the timing of when the book of Genesis, at least, was authored. And we're going to see how that plays out in relation to major mainline low faith, no faith scholars, biblical scholars. It's going to be good.
Well, I think it's amazing that even to this day, in that region, that this is still going on. Yeah. How they do things. Nothing has changed in 5,000 years or 6,000 years, whatever. Whereas for us in the West, it's completely different.
Yeah.
We don't bury our dead in caves and sit there and wait for them to I'll just say to their bone. Yeah. And then take those bones, and you'll explain about all that. The majority are either put in coffins and put in the ground, and that's it, or they're cremated and put in jars and set on their fireplace mantles forever.
Yeah, I'm kind of hesitant about talking about my burial wishes because they're a little, admittedly, off the rockers.
Hey, just let me know what you want and I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Which doesn't sound good, does it?
Because both my wife and my aunt said no.
Oh. Well, if it should befall that you go before me, which I don't think so. I think I'm hoping we're both resurrected before then, or not resurrected. We're both caught up in the air. Yeah. But I'll try my best to complete your wishes.
Thank you.
Okay. With all that aside, chapter 23. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah died in Kiriath Arba. Okay. That is Hebron, and I might just say that from now on. In the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her.
Interesting.
And you had talked about that. It's a little bit off because, for one thing, he came to weep for her.
Yeah.
So were they separated at the time? And I meant to ask you this, and this is another example of that things come to my brain off just without us discussing it. You know, you had stated that Isaac was probably 30-ish when he was supposedly going to be sacrificed. She dies at 127, which would make him 37.
Yeah.
But it never mentions him. And, you know, wanting to see his mother or whatever. I mean, what do you know? Any type? Does any of the books that you've read from the other authors mention anything about Isaac?
No, they don't. And that's curious because later when Abraham dies, they have a whole lot to say about Ishmael and his relationship with Isaac because he actually comes to the funeral. So what's going on? But not so much about Isaac at his mother's funeral, which is interesting. And as we talk about the different scenarios, maybe we'll actually explore something about that because the first, like you said, it's a curiosity that it says, and the rabbis picked up on that, saying, where is he coming from? And in the midrashim, in the commentaries, some of the commentators, some of the sages say, look, this comes right at the heel of the binding of Isaac. So perhaps she died because she heard what was going on or heard what God had commanded Abraham, and her heart couldn't take it, and she just gave up the ghost. She just died. Maybe I should have used a more respectful language there. Maybe, that she just released her spirit. Because,
you mean like it broke her heart?
Yeah, broke her heart, and she died of a broken heart is the idea. But then other commentators like Radak and now it's escaping me. They say, well, no, because it says when verse 19 in the previous chapter 22, it says, so Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba.
Mm-hmm.
So if Abraham's living in Beersheba, what is Sarah doing by herself in Kiryat Arba, in Hebron? She wouldn't be by herself. So the idea is that after the binding of Isaac, those who don't accept, let's say, Rashi's interpretation of, she died of a broken heart, immediately during or after the binding of Isaac, say, look, Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. That means she would have been living with him too, obviously, husband and wife. So they must have moved sometime later to Hebron. And they lived in Hebron before. They lived, because that's where the three angels, i.e. the Lord and two angels, showed up to Abraham. That's where, they said, and the Lord said, why is Sarah laughing? And she says, no, I didn't laugh. And she said, well, but you did. When I told you that you were going to have a son, you laughed. And that's where all that happened. The terebinth trees of Mamre were right outside of Hebron, Kiryat Arba. So it's not their first time living there. So, and then the idea becomes, since they live there and moved, and evidently moved back from Gerar to Beersheba to back to Kiryat
So maybe she just stayed behind.
No, the idea is that maybe what happens is, Abraham being as rich as he is, perhaps he's setting up trade posts in the locations that he actually resides for a length of time, and then he just probably takes trips to check up on them and collect his profits from the endeavor and all that stuff, businessman stuff.
So as a military person and yourself, he went TDY, temporary duty, to these places.
Yeah.
From his house. It's not that she was left behind or anything. It's just that he was taking care of the business, as you said.
Yeah.
And
because these places are not terribly far from one another. They're only a few days, maybe a couple weeks journey away from each other. So, yeah, like you said, TDY is a good way of putting it. And so perhaps he was away doing a spot inspection of one of his outposts, and when he came back, Sarah was passed on. So that explains why he came to mourn her. But another interesting thing, and look, my Hebrew is rusty. I studied biblical Hebrew 20-something years ago, so forgive me. I have to go back and read. And
while you're looking that up, so where is Isaac? Is he with Sarah?
See that's.
Do you think?
Yeah, that's.
Or is he conducting business with his father to learn more and more?
We don't have any proof.
No proof.
We don't have any textual evidence, attestation, or anything. But if I had to guess, Abraham would have wanted to train his son, teach him, show him the ropes, and then gradually
hand it off
to Isaac. So Isaac might have been in a third location. So while his father's over here, he might be over there, and he might not have heard about his mom's passing. And that's why we don't see, curiously, Isaac in this.
You had said something about someone mentioning that she may have died of a broken heart because of her son being, a possible sacrifice.
Yeah.
But if he died, or if he was a sacrifice at or around the age of Christ, which would have been right around 32 or 33, but he was 37, then she wouldn't have died from that being broke, because she would have known that he was still alive.
Yeah.
So I kind of, not that I'm a professional or a big scholar like these other guys, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
That she would have been brokenhearted because she would have known he's still alive. He's been alive for the past 4 years, and it was just her time, in a sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's
No disrespect, by the way, to any of the scholars out there.